What's good? Welcome back to another edition of Talk That Talk podcast. I go by the name of Beck, and I got my co-host with me.
Man, Super Bowl reasons.
Super Bowl reasons. Yeah. Super Bowl reasons, man. We've been MIA for a while. So we want to update you guys real quick before we get into all the latest and greatest news that we got, because there's been a lot going on, talking about playoffs, talking about some lawsuits, talking about TB12 retiring, and just everything in general. But we do want to let you guys know we was out for a while because we caught COVID. Me and Reasons was positive for COVID a couple weeks ago. So we was on hiatus for that. And then our brother, Jay decided to take a step back from the show, but you're not going to see the last of Jay. Jay's going to still be a part of the family and the team, but he's just going to take a different role. So you won't be seeing Hot Take Jay every week, but you're going to be seeing him soon throughout, this year. So be on the lookout for that, because he's still going to be delivering some hot takes that's too hot to bake. You feel me? But bro, it's been a lot going on, brother. It's been a lot going on, brother. We've been out of the world for a minute, and like all hell break loose. We got to talk about this lawsuit by Brian Flores, the ex-Miami Dolphins head coach, is suing the NFL for the racial discrimination against Black coaches in the NFL, man. How do you feel about that? He gave a lot of allegations, a lot of things. Let's talk about it.
I feel like a lot of what he's doing is going to be hard to prove. Just like I personally believe it happened. I just think it's one of those things, man, that's going to be so proved. Just because all those owners, man, is a part of the good old boys club. So it's basically, he pointed out 3 teams, but it's basically 32 against 1, because they not about to go against what's going on, because it damages the whole reputation of the NFL. So a few points that I would like to point out is, I feel that the lawsuit or a plan of attack needs to go more towards situations and calling these owners to the carpet for situations. So, for example, Arizona, the hire Cliff Kingsbury, they had a Black head coach in Steve Wilkes. He goes 13, he gets fired after a season, and it's like he didn't even get a chance to build. He didn't get a chance to really put forth a team, nothing. It was like he had one and he gone. Then the next year, Kingsbury comes in. They go like 5-11. He get to keep his job. He get to continue to build. You feel me? Another situation you can look at it with this past season with David Culley with the Texans. We all knew the Texans was in a horrible position. Sean Watson, no draft picks, all that. So you threw this man into a bad situation. The situation goes exactly how we believed it was going to go, and then he gets fired. And then you move to Brian Flores. He goes to a Miami team that was bad. They just got rid of Adam Gase, I think he was coming after the Adam situation. It was a bad situation. He turned that around. They had back-to-back winning seasons, and then boom, you fire. So I feel like his case has merit, but I think they need to attack these situations. And I feel like in attacking these situations, you can cause for more, because I don't really see too many white head coaches that was out within a year. I don't see it.
Right.
Check me, but I don't know too many.
Right. I would agree with that, bro. I really think that they got to attack the situation. It's going to be hard to do the whole racial discrimination, because they can go through litigations and they can show proof that they did proper due diligence, and it's going to be hard to attack that. You got receipts, with emails, like, what happened, emails. If you got emails of the owner, like he said, was telling them to tank games, we'll pay you $100,000 more for tanking a game so we can get draft picks. if you have that proof, then use those type of receipts to prove your case. Because if you're just going based off discrimination, it's going to be one against a whole community of folks, not just the 32 owners. I'm talking about prior owners and owners before that. And so we know there's discrepancies in the NFL. There's only one black head coach now, and his name is Mike Tomlinson. The only brother surviving right now as far as a head coach. Now, there are other black coaches that's on the defensive, which was shocking to me that, there's more black, defensive coaches than it is other coaches, which is interesting to see. But, they usually get rid of us like that, though. We get moved and done after that, unless we're doing good. And it's almost like we got to be behind someone else. And look, if you're good at what you do, you're good at what you do, but you got to give some of these brothers an opportunity to build. You got to give some of these brothers an opportunity to shine. Brian Flores took his team to the playoffs his first season, had a rocky season, but he won 7 straight games, and he was 2 games out of the opportunity of making the playoffs yet again, and you're going to give him the can. And it just it's sad to see, but hopefully this can start a fire under the other black coaches to support one another and not get scared, because you know how it is. Sometimes brothers get scared of losing their job trying to support somebody else, and they don't want to put themselves out there to be like, hey, I know it's wrong, but I ain't trying to lose my bread. So hopefully brothers can gel together, and other people that are not African-American descent can gel and support this, because all we want is fairness. We're not asking for no handouts. We're just asking for fairness at the end of the day.
Just make sure these processes is right. One thing I'm gonna add, before we move on, is I feel that the NFL, what they need to do or can do as a way to help this out, and then there's transparency, is on these interviews, bring in an outside person. Let that outside person be another person there taking notes during these interviews, right? Mm-hmm. So, for example, if a black and a white coach walk into this interview room and they literally regurgitate the same thing, as far as like, we want to do that, like it basically sounds very similar in the message, and both messages go with the owner or who's ever doing the interviewing. Then it comes down to why are you choosing such versus such and such? You feel me? Because if both visions are the same, then it's like you white guy just because, or you just don't want to pick the black guy because of optics. And I think that outside will have those notes to really show like, all right, well, that vision matched up with this vision, so that's why they went this way. Or hey, it look a little suspect to me, especially if a black coach was interview and he had head coaching experience versus his counterpart not having head coaching experience. Like, why would you choose the guy with no experience versus the guy that does? Visions line up with you. So to me, Then now you can probably start having more evidence and start really putting these owners, GMs into that fire of making right decisions.
Right. And at the end of the day, they're always going to go back to preference. They're going to say, this is the best fit. I'm not forcing, obligated to. I mean, we know the litigation.
We know how this goes.
A lot of stuff. Yeah. But hopefully we just see more brothers out there as head coaches, man. Let us lead some football teams. We can get the job done. But moving on, man, Tom Brady. I didn't think he was retiring. But after losing to the Los Angeles Rams, he decided to hang it up, man. How do you feel about Tom Brady retiring? And then the fact that, he didn't even mention Bill Belichick in his outing to the Patriots. And so it was almost like some bad blood almost. But Bill Belichick said, hey, he's one of the greatest to ever play this game, one of the best quarterbacks he's ever seen alive, or whatever the case may be. So Bill Belichick took the high road. So how do you feel about Tom Brady and him deciding to hang it up, man?
Well, Tom Brady did respond to Bill Belichick and basically said the same thing and called Bill the best coach in NFL history. So they had that, little response thing. It's a sad day, man. It's a sad day. I'm going to still stand by. It was a fumble. Okay, I'm always still stand by that because it was a fumble. All right. But besides all that, man, you just got to respect the great. For a man to go to 10 Super Bowls, that'll never be done again. I don't care who you are. No, Pat Mahomes, Herberts, Joe Burrow. Ain't nobody getting to 10. Okay. And then to go win 7, that's not happening either. So, that's just kind of what it is. Tom Brady got more Super Bowls than NFL franchises because that's just who he was. And it's just it's always a sad day, man. We looking at the end of an era. When you think about the 2000 era of Peyton Manning, Brady, Breeze, Roethlisberger, Eli, Phillip Rivers, like that whole era, man, is gone, bro. Yeah. You feel me? And it's like to be a kid, grow up through that era, through my adult years now, and all that stuff. You go back and you just learn to appreciate. What football was. And, with Tom Brady just at the top of that mountain, you feel me? He's a Mount Rushmore guy. To me, he's the greatest quarterback of all time. And I'm not going to put him in as the greatest athlete, but I'm going to say he's the greatest winner of all time because the things that he was doing, my boy posted a statistic. He only has it's only 2 teams that he's played against that he has a record against. He's 1-2 against the Seahawks, and he's 4-5 against the Saints. Every other team in the NFL, he has a winning record against. Every other team. And so, it's just, man, just super homage to Tom. He's a Michigan Wolverine, so that always plays a part in my heart with him there. And, it's just a sad day for football, bro.
For me, man, again, I would never forgive that man for taking probably our only Super Bowl that we're going to get.
He took one from me too, so don't feel bad.
And so it hurt my feelings. It broke my heart. But I can't lie, man. He's probably one of the smartest, not as far as like, all the audibles and all that. I mean, smartest by the way he played the game. He doesn't make the wrong plays. He always make the right plays. And every blue moon, he may make a mistake, but he plays mistakeless football a lot of times when he's on that field. And even though they played bad, they still had a chance to beat the Rams. You know what I mean? The defense had a flounder that just, I don't know how, but you could be talking about Tom Brady and another opportunity to go into another Super Bowl. But what he's done for the game, this is the end of an era. This is the end of an era of those quarterbacks, and it's time for the new school to step up, man. And we're going to get into those new schools because they may be a new sheriff in town, but I just want to give big ups respect to Tom Brady, man. I wish you nothing but the best in what you do moving forward, man. Keep being great and keep going 110, man, because that's what he did when he was on that football field. He was an ultimate competitor. And if you talk smack, he was one of those quarterbacks that can back it up and talk smack right back to you. So I respect him for his competitive nature, man, and enjoy your retirement. Like he said, man, he don't have the love to get up to go do it anymore. And when you don't got that love, man, it's hard to.
Ain't no reason to go.
All that.
Ain't no reason to go.
A long time. So shout out to TB12, man. But speaking of the new school, man. We got to talk about Pat Mahomes and Joe Burrow, and Pat Mahomes showing that he folds under pressure yet again. I don't know what I saw from Pat Mahomes, but I know what I saw from Joe Burrow. The same thing I saw in LSU, the same thing I saw the prior week. Joe Burrow, Joe Cool, the new school in town, the new kid in town, man. Let's talk about it, man. How you feel about Pat Mahomes' mishaps and Joe Burrow stepping in that spotlight?
I just feel like Joe Burrow has injured himself in that conversation, and he's doing his part. I attribute the Cincinnati defense, their D coordinator, for going into that second half and saying, you know what, we got to make some change. And not just sticking to like, oh, this going to have to work, this going to have to work. Nah, man, they made changes. They made it difficult for Pat Mahomes. And the bad part is that Pat Mahomes just reverted back to the Pat Mahomes from weeks 1 through 7. You feel me? Because that Pat Mahomes from 7 through like 15, 16 was taking what the defense was giving, being greedy, all that kind of stuff. And then that second half and overtime, he got back to greedy. He got back to not just taking what was there. The same things that you was pointing out throughout the season, especially early on, like why he just won't do this, why he just won't do that. And then he called fire and he was like, see, this the Pat Mahomes that we're talking about.
Right.
And so, I just love Joe Burrow because he just possessed a new kind of, he like at the end of the game, they asked him about, winning. He was like, shout out to the second in the AFC. And I was like, ooh, like, that's a shot. I love it, though, because, when you make it to the Super Bowl, you are the first best team in the AFC. But most people don't say that. They always say the political thing. Man, that's a good team over there. But he came out and said it. Man, shout out to the second best team in the AFC. So I love it. I love his confidence, what that team got going on. And that's what I'm cheering for in the Super Bowl. I'm going to let it be known early. That's for the Super Bowl.
We will have a Super Bowl show for y'all.
I coach for the Gaston Bengals. So, you feel me? I'm going to have my ready to go next Sunday. So.
Oh, man. I feel that. I definitely feel that. But here's my thing, man. I think it had a lot to do with not the Bengals defense, but more of the Kansas City and Pat Mahomes mishaps. I just don't know what – it was just like a night and day.
Would you say arrogance? Arrogance. Is that a word that I say that's arrogance?
I wouldn't even call arrogance. I would call it just blunders, like just stuff that didn't add up. It was just like the throws that you start to throw. And it wasn't like, I can understand if you're getting pressure. They got pressure a few times, but he had a lot of time. And just trying too hard to make plays, man. I know somebody's open for 6 seconds. You ain't covering nobody in the NFL. What I saw in what he was doing is he started to eye one or two receivers, and he had his mind made up before the play was already drawn out. And even in the overtime, you saw if he just pump fakes and you got Kelce at the corner route wide open because the corner, he jumped. And the crazy part about it, the safety came down to take over the corner spot, and the corner didn't even blitz. It got picked up. So all you had to do, Pat Mahomes, like you thinking, pump fake, get Kelce over there. You got a chance to get big yards. And then the Tyreek, the first play, they did a RPO, and then the pass was just, it was just like, what is going on? It almost looked too good to be true that's how he was playing right now. But it showed me that Pat Mahomes is folding under pressure, and he almost cost him the game in the fourth quarter, trying to scramble. And he went back to, I call it, and it's the biggest thing that we struggle with for a lot of our quarterbacks that are athletic, hero ball. He went into hero ball instead of just using your progressions, and it cost him. In the Kansas City, I got to put some blame on Andy Reid playing for the clock instead of playing for the win. You went for the win. You went for the clock. And I want to give a shout out to Joe Burrow. Joe, cool. What I loved about Joe Burrow is you didn't see his facial expressions was the same when they was winning and when they was losing. He showed cool composure, and he made some big plays down the line to put his team in contention to win that game. So I gotta give Joe credit. And I told y'all Joe Burrow is something to watch out for, man. Joe, I didn't think I thought they was going to start to make strides, but this is putting the whole NFL on notice that, Cincinnati got a quarterback now, and all they got to do is get to the AFC Championship because they undefeated in the AFC Championship. If they get to the AFC Championship, they bound to win it. Now, are they going to beat the Los Angeles Rams? That's yet to be determined. But shout out to Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati and that team. They already comparing them to LeBron, talking about what is Joe Burrow championship mean for
Cincinnati.
And LeBron. We'll get into that if he wins one. But before we get up out of here, we got to talk about the Niners and the Rams. A lot of people blaming this on Jimmy G, and I look. I'm not saying Jimmy G played his best. He had another horrible QBR rating game performance. But I will say that the Los Angeles Rams defensive line made it very, very challenging for him in the second half. The first half, he got whatever he wanted. They was doing what they wanted to do. They was moving the ball. But that Los Angeles defense finally stepped up. That Los Angeles defensive line finally stepped up when it mattered the most, and they was relentless, man. So I put this more on the LA Rams defensive line rather than Jimmy G Flunders. That's my opinion. How you feel about the Rams in the Niners game?
It was interesting because I was driving, so I was kind of listening to the game, and checking in but when you look at it, for Jimmy G to throw 30 passes, right? That and the 49ers run game, when you look at the stats, to damn near be non-existent.
Exactly.
You can see that the Rams did something different. Shannon Sharp kind of pointed it out that when you got pass rushers, they tend to be pass rushers. And that's why you're able to run on those kind of teams, because they always in pass rushing mode. So then it was more in, we're going to stop the run, which gave Jimmy G a little bit more time to have to make passes and all that kind of stuff. And then when it was time to go get him, you saw they went to go get him. Facts. So they was more or less focusing on taking away the 49ers' strength, which is that run game, and saying, well, you're going to have to beat us with Jimmy G. And we all know that's not Jimmy G's game. We know that he has won games with his arm. You go back to last year when they played against the Saints and that shootout, and he's been in games where Jimmy, like, damn, okay, Jimmy. But for the most part, Jimmy G is a middle-of-the-road QB that's going to do a lot of things. He not going to turn it over like that, but he is going to put the ball in harm's way at times. And the 49ers just got to be better. I mean, Jaquez Tart, that was a big drop.
That was a huge drop.
Big drop. You feel me? And that be the chain and turning points of games is
exactly
it's plays like that. So we're like, well, nah, man, that interception, they don't even score, right? But that's just more time clock. That's just all different kind of scenarios. Because we ain't gonna say that cost them the game. No, but that's a turning point play.
Because it was up 17-7 at that point, and it would that can switch the momentum. Because defense don't play the same if he catch that.
Exactly. Momentum switches, time and possession. Again, like, what if they get the interception and they go 3 and out? Now that's just more time, or that's less time for the Rams.
Or kick a field goal, too.
Or anything. You feel me? So we're looking at that as like a turning point play. And the turning point happened to be in favor of the Rams because he got the drop. So, I mean, you said, man, shout out to the Rams. Shout out for Stafford for coming out there proving everybody wrong. Shout out for Odell showing you that it was Baker and not Odell. And then, Cooper Kupp, best receiver in the league. Yo. We just call it what it is. You feel me? Because, we on our show, we more of a what is going on right now. So right now, Cooper Kupp's the best receiver in the league. And I don't want to hear nothing from nobody about it.
Statistically, and just what he do, catch the ball, like run routes,
he a block, like,
bruh. Cooper Kupp is the guy right now, and it is what it is. Somebody else got to take that throne, but he is the guy. He is the guy, man. And we'll recap all the NFL playoffs right before we do the Super Bowl predictions and things like that, because there's been a lot of football that we didn't cover, especially that Kansas City game. And we'll talk about the playoff experience as a whole. But shout out to the two people that's standing still right here. It's the Bengals and the Rams. And it's going to be a doozy. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to go down to the wire, and we'll get into those predictions soon. But y'all let us know in the comments below, what do y'all think about all the topics that we talked about today? Again, we're back in full effect. We will be more consistent moving forward. We're sorry we can't control the vid. Things happen, but we're glad that we're safe, and we're glad that everything is okay. Anything you want to say before we get out of here, big dog?
No, man, just everybody continue to stay safe, man, stay blessed, and just look forward to us, man, and hopefully we got some new stuff cooking up for y'all, and we here.
Facts, man. So y'all take care, stay blessed, mask up. For real. You hear from people who caught it. Mask up. It ain't nothing to play with. And always remember to talk that talk. We see y'all soon.